Welcome to The Green Light. I'm your host, Shaylanese, and we are here with a new episode. Today's guest is news anchor Faith Jessie, and I'm so excited to get into her world of journalism. Yes, we're talking all things journalism, her background into the industry, why she chose this field, and so much more. And spoiler alert, Faith Jessie, she really is that girl, and I'm so excited for y'all to hear her story and what she's up to. So let's get right into the conversation. Super excited to kind of just jump right into the conversation and learn your start in news. Like, what was your inspiration behind this career field?
Absolutely. So it really all started, we can go way back.
Yeah.
Elementary school, we had a school field trip where they were assigning roles for this play village of work. And I got assigned to be the TV host of the kid version of Home Shopping Network. So I think that's kind of where that seed was planted a little bit. And then throughout middle school, I really loved shooting videos. And for Christmas, I asked for this video camera. They used to shoot on little tapes back then. And I wanted my little tapes to put in my video camera so I could just record everybody. And everybody's like, can you stop putting that camera in my face while I eat and all this stuff? But I loved it. I thought it was so fun. I was able to make video projects in school. Like instead of doing like a PowerPoint, I'd say, hey, can we do like a video project? They were like, sure. And then that evolved in high school. We had a TV production class, which was really laid the foundation. It was a whole morning show. We had a green screen. I was never anchoring on that morning show. I can't remember, but I did a lot of video editing, and that's where I was just so excited. I just really, really loved it. It was a lot of fun. And just kind of from that, I think the video creation, and I started watching and reading and just seeing the whole world of news and journalism. And I just thought it was really, really cool. And it's something that maybe I can do it. Originally, I thought I was going to go to film school. Wow. And then I didn't get in.
Oh, no.
I didn't get into the film schools that I wanted. But you know what? I think it was a blessing in disguise because I did get in to the #1 journalism program in the country at the time, the University of Southern California's Annenberg School. So I think it was just a divine switch up. I need to go to film school.
But do you still have dreams of still filming, maybe on the side, short films, or what would you have wanted to do in the film industry?
That is such a great question. Originally, I wanted to do documentary work. I remember one of my college admissions for one of those film schools was on the human trafficking issue in schools. And so I would really love to pursue that. And I mean, it's kind of hand in hand with journalism right now. So I would love to do documentary work in the future.
That's amazing. And it's kind of similar to what you do now as a special projects reporter. Do you feel like you get a little taste of that behind the scenes documentary style, when you are interviewing special focuses for news?
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that drew me to this position here in Atlanta, having the opportunity to be on the special projects team as well as anchor. But that long form journalism is something that I just love to do because I did spot news for a long time and other jobs, and long is relative depending on who you ask, right? Yeah. But I had an experience doing kind of spot news, breaking news, which is still a lot of fun. But when I had the opportunity to take a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and really piece together these stories that could be anywhere from 3 minutes to 8 or 9 minutes long. And you were able to really kind of take a subject, and in that spot reporting, you maybe only have a minute or so to tell that story. Now I can take that minute and dive a little deeper, really open up to a person, share their story. What is the impact here? Who is it benefiting? It's benefiting this person, this person, this person. Who is it hurting? This person, this person, this person. Who can make a change here? And just answer all of those questions. And I found those stories to be very impactful to people who were watching it, including myself. It was just very fulfilling. And It's just you can have a little bit more time to be a little bit more creative and create those fun, different graphics to explain, and take time to travel to different places if you need to tell those stories. And a little bit more time for people to open up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you meet somebody and they're not ready to tell their story. You might have one interview and they just didn't open up too much. You meet them again, you meet them again, you meet them again. By that fourth time you meet them, they are just, you've created that relationship. So those are some of the things that we're able to do with special projects. And that's why I love it so much.
That's amazing to hear. And so keeping like the focus a little bit back into your college days, when you were in the journalism program, do you feel like you learned everything you needed to know now that you are a news anchor? Like, do you feel like it was a great stepping ground for you?
That is a really good question. I'm going to be careful of what I say because I don't want to discourage anybody from pursuing any education, because the education is so important. It lays so many great foundations, fundamentals. We learned about the history of ethics. We learned how to write. We learned how to shoot. We learned about camera presence. I ended up actually switching from journalism school to public relations, which is what I got my degree in. So I was learning kind of the marketing side of things and how to write press releases and things like that. But I would say that the bulk of what I've learned on that, the skills that I kind of use on a day-to-day basis were learned on the job. Coming into my very first job, I did have some knowledge of news. I did have some knowledge of writing, but I didn't know everything. I don't even want to put a percentage, but a significant amount of the knowledge that I have now was learned through my professional jobs. But that foundation was laid down in college, and also a lot of the connections, the networking and opportunities that I had coming from USC. Annenberg had a lot of weight when I was coming out and looking for my first job. So it was a very respected school. So I would never change anything that I've done. And so that schooling, I think, sets a really, really big foundation.
That's how I feel as well, because I'm a public relations major as well. That's what I study. Yes. And so like even in my field, like being a publicist, I feel like in school you learn things in theory, but it's nothing like the real work once you actually get a job and like, really, have your assignments and your tasks and things like, for like real clients or like real stories to cover. So I totally feel you, and like, the school is definitely like sets the foundation for sure.
And I will say, just on that point, now there's a portion of, I know a lot of J schools, they do have real life interactions, like you're out there shooting with other reporters and stuff like that. So like I said, once again, sets the foundation, but you're going to develop and grow while you are on the job. That's my experience.
Yeah. For sure. So you've had assignments in New York, Las Vegas, and now Atlanta, I'm sorry. So when you are choosing the next city to call home, what are some of the things that help seals the deal for you?
That's a great question. First of all, it's who's interested, right?
Yeah.
you can pick wherever. Look, I want to go there, I want to go where I want to go there, but who's interested? And then when you look, TV can be a real brutal job. It really can. It can be very tough to get your foot in the door to certain places. But you make those connections. You make it known that you want to be in that city. You find out who those hiring managers are. You go and visit. You introduce yourself. When you do have those options on the table, for me personally, I weigh out, like some people say, you start off playing checkers, and then as you get later into your career, you start playing chess. Wow. And I want to see, first of all, how is it going to benefit me, because it's my life and it's my career choice, but also how can I be a benefit to this station? What are some strengths that I can bring here? Is this a team that I connect with? That's reaching out to different people who might be at the station. This industry is very, very small. It's likely somebody who worked with somebody or knew somebody. You can just call them up and be like, hey, how do you like it there? How are the news directors? How are the managers? Do you get along with them? Like what are the pillars of the station? Are they a breaking news station? Are they more heavily surrounding on enterprise reporting? Is it a mix of everything? How much creative freedom? I'm a very big person on creative freedom. I like direction, but I don't want to be micromanaged. I don't know if anybody really does. And
Right.
am I going to a place that somebody will listen? They might not always say yes, but at least that door is open for them to listen to my ideas. And, or is it a place that, you know what, we've done this way for so long, it's not broken, we're not changing it. So no, you come in here and fall in line. There's places like that. That's just not a place for me. And that's okay. You just learn how to work with those places. And then you have to know where you're living, right? If you don't like a lot of crowds, everything is expensive, freezing cold weather, you might not want to go to New York City because you're probably not going to be very happy there. If you don't like super humid heat, if you don't like having to drive everywhere, you might not want to go down to Florida because that's what you're going to have to do, right? If your family, if being close to your family is really important, and there's a job way in California and your family is in Alabama, then maybe that's not the right job for you. I will say you should be open to it. I've lived in several different places, and as a journalist, that's one of the exciting parts. And you can see your family, they can come visit you. But if that's, you have to think about what's important to you because that's your life. So you have to just write down the positives and the negatives. And if the pros outweigh the cons, then you have your decision.
That's amazing advice. And I'm also curious, like when you first began getting like offers or opportunities in different cities, like did you have to have like side jobs to support the dream or support the move, or did you have like support of family to like make you for your next step in a new city or a new position? How did that work for you?
These are so good because they are so real. I'm so happy you're asking them because people need to know.
Absolutely.
Me tell you, my very first job, I want to say I was making $23,000. It was not that much money. Each paycheck was not hitting four figures. I think I was out about $759. On a bonus day, you got $810. So you have to make that $810 stretch every 2 weeks, right? And yes, I did have to take up the extra job. I was in PR before I got into news, so I had those PR connections. So I was still doing some of that work on the side. And I would take little odd jobs. I remember one weekend I was able to go work a music festival, which was really cool, and it made like $500 for the weekend. I was like, this is more than I make. I'm taking a PTO day so I can make some money. But that's just one of those things. My mom thought about it as, or my mom told me to think about it as, this is your 1 year of free grad school. So you're just going here. You're not going here to make money. You're going here to learn. You're going here to work. And I love that station. That was one of the coolest places that I worked. It wasn't the best, right? We didn't have the best equipment. It was not LA or New York or Atlanta, but I learned so many fundamental skills there. I learned how to shoot. I learned how to write. I learned how to edit. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to call and follow up. I learned how to listen to the police scanner, and skills that I still use right now. So it was one of those important jobs. Not everybody goes to, I was in Binghamton, New York. So teeny tiny town. Everybody was super, super nice there. Great food. Didn't love the cold. I did not love the cold.
Yeah.
That was my first time living in that climate. I'm like, it's a little too cold here for me. But, you get used to it. You work it out. But yeah. The side job was needed. The side job was needed. But that's not everybody's experience. But I will say, if you are looking to go through the local news route, even on the network side, because a lot of people are starting off as PAs or executive assistants or producers. And if you're living in New York and your salary is $40,000, $50,000, you might have to figure out, okay, how am I going to make this work?
Right.
Because that might sound like a lot on paper, but then you see your living expenses. You might have to have 3, 4, 5, 6 roommates, but we can make it work. That's okay. It's New York City.
Exactly, because you see the vision. So by any means, absolutely. And so like for today as a news anchor for you, what is your favorite part of the experience? Is it the actual reporting? Is it the aftermath of like editing or doing voiceovers? Like what gets you excited every day?
That's such a hard question to answer. Man. So first and foremost, I'm always so excited when I get to get off of the desk and get out into the community and do some of that community storytelling. because, or even when we're able to bring people into the studio, because hearing people's voices, that's the reason that we're here, first of all, is
Right.
as a service to the people. That's just way back in the day. It was I mean, the American media was not privatized. It was a public entity, right? So it was
Mm-hmm.
basically a service organization. It's since been privatized, but that we have to get back to our roots, right?
Yeah.
Giving people information and serving them. I need to fact check that, but I read somewhere that it was public. But let's
Okay.
fact check that. If
Okay.
I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know.
Okay.
But anyway, I like to get back to those roots of serving the public. So I like to get out into the community, speak to people, have them come in, and just being able to hear their stories, tell their stories, super, super fun. Another thing that really excites me, and it doesn't excite everybody, sometimes it stresses people out, is breaking news. I absolutely
Ooh.
love it. I love breaking news. I
Wow.
love live news events. Anytime something happens and they're like, drop everything. This just happened. Go, go, go. Get to the desk. Okay, we're writing this up. Put it in. Do we have that? Can you make this call? Can you make this call? One of my most exciting nights, and it could have been for different circumstances, but given the fact that somebody was being arrested, but it was when the president came down to Fulton County to do his arrest. Now, that wasn't necessarily breaking at the time. We knew that it was going to happen, but it was just the excitement around just kind of that fast pace in the news.
Right.
Given, depending on who you ask, it wasn't for the best circumstances, right? Just
Right.
depending on who you ask. But I was using that as an example of that energy that kind of gets, even for
Yeah.
election nights, that's the same energy. It's not breaking news, but it's a big night. Sometimes we have things planned, they go wrong. You have to be able to think on your feet and go, go, go. So those big political events are really, really fun.
Mhm.
Really
Now,
fun.
see, I would find that intimidating, like those like live events, because I feel like honestly, like you have to be like a stand-up comedian in the sense of like improving and being quick on your toes of like, that type of reporting. So like, do you ever get nervous or just get anxiety around those live moments?
I feel the only time I've gotten nervous or had anxiety is if I was underprepared, which I
Mm,
try not to be, because then you don't
yeah.
know what you're talking about. So now you're just sitting there like, oh. And
Right.
that happened to me in like a earlier, I can't remember when, but I remember there was one time when I was just kind of like, I was not ready for this. And so those nerves kind of kicked me. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what are they going to throw at me? But if you make that mistake, you learn from it. But if you prepare, you
Mm,
stay read, what we call it, staying read in. So that just means knowing what's going on. If your beat is politics, if you're a general assignment reporter, but you know that you kind of focus on crime or education, just really knowing what is going on in your realm, or you know that a big event is coming up and you're going to be responsible for reporting on it and providing coverage, just know what's going on. You can research like a couple of days before as well, but kind of just having that general knowledge will
yeah.
really come in handy to just kind of keep you cool, calm, and collected, because you're prepared. We're just having a conversation. We can talk all day about it.
Exactly. I know like you may get this question a lot about like the anchor voice. So I'm curious to know like have you modeled like your hosting or interviewing style to anyone in particular from like the past or current day? Like who have you had any inspirations around like who you wanted to model your career after?
um, that is a great question. I'll start with the voice. I think the voice just kind of comes. You hear and you try to mimic it. I never took any like voice classes or anything, and it's so funny. I even asked myself like, well, where does this voice come from? So I don't know, because I obviously sound a lot different right now than I do when I am on air. I remember at one time I was trying to mimic this
Mm.
really deep, sultry voice, 11 Alive News at 2. But I think I was in Vegas when this happened. So it was News 3, Las Vegas. And my news director called me up and he was like, why are you talking like that? Like,
Wow.
you don't talk like that. Like, just be yourself. Talk like of course it's going to be a little bit more pronounced, but don't give me this because you just don't talk like that. It's
Yeah.
weird. Um, and then so I was like, okay, no, you're right. Um, so I think it's a combination of like I believe they used to call it just, I don't know, there's a specific word for the voice, but the idea of it was everybody can understand this tone. It's
Got it.
clear, it's concise, and there's a word for it. I'm just, if you guys know the word, throw it at me. But that's kind of where it derived. And if you listen to the news, like back in the 60s, the 70s, it was a different tone. Now it's a little bit more modern,
Right.
depending on who you listen to. I think a lot of news agencies and newsrooms accept that people don't want to hear somebody talking like this every single day, maybe, but it's also okay to put your own voice back into it.
Right.
For people who I look up to in news, it's funny, and she's not even on CNN anymore, but the reason I kind of wanted to get into news is that we had CNN in my parents' home when I was from college. I was trying to figure out what exactly it was I was going to do, and Brooke Baldwin's show was on CNN. And I was just watching, and I don't know what it was about just her personality, the specific interview, and I was just like, you know what? I think I can do this. Like, I really want to do this. I was working in PR at the time, and I was like, I think I want to do that. Like what she's doing, I could absolutely do that. And it looks like it would be a lot of fun. And since then, of course, there's so many people, Gwen Eiffel, um, Lester Holt, um, David Muir. I love watching David Muir. So many different journalists that I've watched and just respect and love their knowledge. Wolf Blitzer, Anthony Bourdain, when he was with us. And I just see their different styles of storytelling. I'm just like, they're some of the greats, right? And I want to aspire to be as great as them, being able to storytell, but also being able to just like break down topics and give people information that they might not know, might not know that they need to know important information, but break it down in a way that's like easy to digest.
Right.
And say,
Yeah.
this is important. You should probably know about this. Here's why. Okay, good. I'm glad I know that.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your style of like reporting, because like when you're covering news, you make it feel so um like I don't homegirl vibes. If that makes sense, like you're just speaking to us as if like, we're just like your friend, or we're your family member, and it makes me feel easier to like process what you're saying, because I feel like sometimes like big topics, especially like politics, it's just like all these big concepts and big things. It's a lot of information, but the way you break it down, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I should totally be informed. I should totally do this, for myself. So yeah, thank you for that, because like it definitely reads well when you are, presenting us news in that way.
When I have to go, and I also listen to newscasts to stay informed, but sometimes I'll listen to a podcast and I gotta rewind to catch what they said, because I'm like, what is this big word that you're using? Can you just like, this is not an encyclopedia contest. Like, this is not for you to prove your vocabulary to it. Just tell us what it is. But you know what? I mean, and there's a lot of people that do it very, very well, very, very well. And sometimes you just want to, like, the most important part is getting the message out there. And that's what we should be doing. And different people have different styles, not knocking on anybody.
Absolutely. Yes. Speaking of style, I am curious to know like your fashion sense and your wardrobe. Like, how do you pick your fits every day? And like, do you have like a stylist on set? Like, can you walk us through like the styling part of being a news
I have
anchor?
a stylist in my head. Yeah, some of my colleagues do have stylists. I do not. Okay. I have too many clothes in my closet, and I am a clearance rack baddie. Like, I will go to Marshalls. I'm not mad about Ross. I am not mad about TJ Maxx. Like, we will go find, like, I think this is a Marshalls fit that you're seeing right now.
Awesome.
But every once in a while, like, I'll see pieces. I love supporting local designers. I love supporting my Black designers. And they don't necessarily have to be like super expensive clothing, but like you can get one piece, little investment piece, and then you can mix it up with your Marshalls and your ones and make it look good, right?
That's awesome.
But I usually, no, we dress ourselves. I try to keep it modest. I try to keep it fun. I try to keep it me. I don't want to look like a stuffy, boring anchor lady. Like, I want a little bit of flavor.
Absolutely. Now,
That's simple.
yeah, so like, how do you feel about repeating clothes? Like, do you have like a lookbook of like, okay, if I wore this a month ago, I can't wear it again? Like, how do you feel about repeating outfits?
I tried to keep a lookbook. I tried this process where I would have dresses and like rotate them in my closet. I'm like, I know I wore that. I know I wore that. And it just got like, I didn't have time for all that, to be honest with you. So yes, we repeat clothes. At least I do. My co-anchor Jonathan thinks I don't. That's our in-between joke. He's like, I ain't never seen you wear the same dress. And I'm like, it was a dress last time. Now it's a shirt. But I put a skirt over. We just know how to mix and match.
Absolutely.
we gotta be creative.
For sure. And so also with like your hair, like I love how you switch it up. You'll have protective styles, you'll have your hair curly, straight, whatever braids. So how do you feel like you were in different markets that embraced change in hair, or do you always or in the beginning of your career did you feel like you had to have your hairstyle one particular way?
How much time? See, we need a whole episode for this. We need a whole episode for this. Yes. So I got my first news job in 2015. And I remember it because it was the lead up to Trump Clinton. And when I was searching for jobs, I was told, because I think I was wearing straight hair, kind of like I have right now, sew-in, which is nothing wrong with sewing.
Right.
But I was wearing my hair like this. I had braids in college and I switched it up because I was kind of told you don't want your braids to hinder you from getting a job. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
I've worn braids since I was a baby. Never knew it was unprofessional until I was told by somebody who looks like me, just trying to help you out. This is just how it is in the industry. You don't want because I was just getting into it. So you don't want anything that's going to hinder you from getting a job. So I kept the straight look. It became taxing on my hair when the sew-ins got too expensive. Because remember, I was rocking with $7.59 every 2 weeks, $800. Right. Didn't know how to do my own hair. And when the hair started getting too expensive, I was like, I got to do something. So then I went to the $20 Amazon wig. And the $20 Amazon wig, we could keep a beat some days, and some days it was just looking a little crazy. But that's what I had to do because, once again, even our natural hair, like the beautiful twist out you have right now.
Thank you.
First of all, I didn't know how to do a twist out. Second of all, I had my hair in braids my whole life, right? Second of all, they weren't even ready for the twist out. Let's be real, right?
Right.
So it was straight hair, and our hair is not naturally straight. It was perms. It was heat. It was all that. I want to say, fast forward to, I want to say it was 2019. It was 2019 because I remember that was right before the year COVID hit. I saw a girl. Her name was Leah Uko. She was working for Fox 13 in LA, and she had sister locks in Los Angeles, market number 2. And I took a screenshot and I was like, wow, if she's doing this in LA, why can't I do this in Vegas? Took the courage, took the picture to my news director at the time. And I just asked her, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting my hair like this. And the fact that I even had to ask, right?
Yeah.
But we did. We had to ask. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about getting my hair like this. Like, is that cool? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, really? Yeah. So I ran to the stylist and got braids. And even when I got braids that first time, I remember we were covering the Soul Train Awards. It was like the perfect, like, coming out, like, we're back, right? But even when I had my braids, I had people who looked like me that would come up and be like, all right, well, picture day's coming up. Are you sure you don't want to switch it back? And I was like, no. But it was just kind of that mentality. And they weren't saying it maliciously, but that's just kind of how the industry was. Fast forward now, braids are everywhere. But it was something that I think has changed. And even there are some people still today in the year of 2024,
Right.
where some people just don't like it. Some
Yeah.
people don't like it. And those people who are hiring, those hiring managers, you don't like it. But
Yeah.
hopefully people will understand that hair doesn't make a person, their personality does. And we're not walking around here with green mohawks. They are braids. So
Absolutely. Yes. And yeah, and hopefully like with the Crown Act that's been passed in the states and stuff, people will be more accepting of different ways, everyone's styles their hair, because it doesn't knock off any of our background or our skills. Like, it's just hair at the end
and
of the
to be
day.
honest with you, I got more compliments from our viewers in Vegas when I switched my hair to braids than I did when I was wearing them tied wigs. I'll
Wow.
tell you that, because it looked
Oh.
better.
And then we can see your personality exude and shine, when you are expressing yourself authentically. So, yeah. And so, like, to wrap up our amazing conversation, at the end of every episode, I always ask the guests to list their 2 favorite songs, and it can be of any genre or it can be more than 2. So what songs best represent you?
That is, girl, these questions, like, you're making me think, because there's a whole playlist. But the one song that I think is such an empowering song. It's a throwback. It's something that I grew up on. It is Shackles by Mary Mary.
Oh, that is
It is such a
awesome.
good message. It is such, like, when that song comes on, take the shackles off my
My
feet
feet
so
so
I
I
can
can
dance.
dance.
That's right.
Hey.
And I just love the message, because it's like, I cannot be chained to anything. I am free. I can do what I want to do. People will try, especially in this industry, people will find you. They will try to put you down. They will try to bury you. People with just, maybe they're not even trying to do it. There are people who intentionally do it, and then there's people that don't try to do it just because they have negative attitudes. They don't want to be there, and that rubs off on you, and you're like, well, why am I here? Your vision gets blurry. And Shackles, it's just answering that question of, no, take the shackles off my feet. I can dance. I can praise him. I can get up, because I have that vision for me. I am staying focused. I am free. I don't care about you. I don't care about you.
Okay.
I don't care about you. Those shackles are broken off. I am walking into my destiny. So that's one of the songs that I really, really like. It's going to be hard to top that one. I'm going to be real.
I'm like, that was like a mic drop right there. Like, you have me hyped. I feel like I could conquer anything. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah. So, okay, Mary Shackles. You should actually have like a music playlist like in your bio for like Instagram, so that people so we can know like what gets you going in the morning, so we can get that same energy. That would be nice.
Yes, no, all the old school, like, Stomp is another one by Kurt Franklin. Just make me clap my hands. See, I grew up in the church, so we have all.
Yes, same. Yes, so you are a fellow church kid.
I'll get me going. Yes, so all of that stuff. But yeah, I might have to take you up on that.
For sure. I would love to see it. So, yes. Well, thank you again, Faith Jessie, for joining my show. I really appreciate you taking the time. You were literally on air and you came right to me. So I really appreciate your dedication. Yes, it was perfect timing. I love the dedication not only you have for your work, but for also, giving me a chance to just get a little bit of who you are and where you were brought up and how you really, became the person you are today. So I really appreciate you for taking the time out for my episode.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here, and congratulations to you too, Miss Chantel, on this podcast.
Thank you.
Because so many people have the idea in their head. Not that many people walk the walk or talk the talk. So you are literally talking the talk. And I am walking right into the podcast. So I am so excited to be here. I wish you much success. May this episode go on to get millions of views. We're going to play this right now.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. If you love today's guest and our Greenlight Convo, please tell someone, your mama, daddy, cousin, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, about the show, and be on the lookout for the next episode.